Hare Krishna, dear devotees, my humble obeisances all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Today we have His Grace Bhuta Bhavana Prabhu to enlighten us with the topic. We are continuing the series of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 15th chapter, verse number 8. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances all glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Maharaj. You can please take over, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. And we're reading from first canto Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 15, text number 8. And today is November the 13th, Monday the 13th of November. So we'll say just a prayer to the Bhagavatam first, then we'll read this particular verse, purport, translation, etc. And then we'll just discuss this wonderful teaching, Srila Prabhupada, this teaching of Shri Radha Chandra. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so first canto, chapter 15, text number 8. Yatsa nidavaham ukandavam agnayedam indram chasamara ganan tarasa vijitsya labdha shabha maya kritad bhuta shilpa maya digbyo haran nripatayo balim advarete. Okay, we'll go through the word for word. So if you go down slightly for the word for word, thank you. Okay, yat, whose, sanito, being nearby, aham, myself, who, note of astonishment, kandavam, the protected forest of Indra, king of heaven, agnaye, unto the fire god, adam, delivered, indram, Indra, cha, also, sa, along with, amara ganan, the demigods, tarasa, with all dexterity, Vijitya, Vijitya, having conquered, Labdha, having obtained, Shabha, assembly house, Maya Krita, built by Maya, Adbhuta, very wonderful, Shilpa, art and workmanship, maya, potency, and digbyaha, from all directions, aharan, collected, ripatayaha, all princes, balim, presentations, advare, brought, te, your. Translation in purple by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay, so this is actually Arjuna speaking this verse. Very beautiful verse. Because he was near me, so he's talking about because Krishna was near him. Because he was near me, it was possible for me to conquer with great dexterity the powerful king of heaven, Indradev, along with his demigod associates, and thus enabled the fire god to devastate the Kandava forest. And only by his grace was a demon named Maya saved from the blazing Kandava forest. And thus we could build our assembly house of wonderful architectural workmanship, where all the princes assembled during the performance of the Rajasuya Yajna and paid you tributes. Purple. The demon Mayadanava was an inhabitant of the forest Kandava. And when the Kandava forest was set on fire, he asked protection from Arjuna. Arjuna saved his life. And as a result of this, the demon felt obliged. He reciprocated by building a wonderful assembly house for the Pandavas, which attracted the extraordinary attention of all state princes. They felt the supernatural power of the Pandavas, and thus without grudge, all of them submitted and paid tributes to the emperor. The demons possess wonderful and supernatural powers to create material wonders, but they are always disturbing elements in the society. The modern demons are the harmful material scientists who create some material wonders for disturbance in the society. For example, the creation of nuclear weapons has caused some panic in human society. Maya was also a materialist like that, and he knew the art of creating such wonderful things. And yet Lord Krishna wanted to kill him. When he was chased both by the fire and by the wheel of Lord Krishna, he took shelter of such a devotee as Arjuna, who saved him from the wrath of the fire of Lord Sri Krishna. Devotees are therefore more merciful than the Lord, and in devotional service, the mercy of a devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. Both the fire and the Lord ceased from chasing the demon as soon as both of them saw that the demon was given shelter by such a devotee as Arjuna. This demon, feeling obliged to Arjuna, wanted to do him some service to show his gratefulness. But Arjuna declined to accept anything from him in exchange. Lord Sri Krishna, however, being pleased with Maya for his taking shelter of a devotee, asked him to render service unto King Yudhisthira by building a wonderful assembly house. The process is that by the grace of the devotee, the mercy of the Lord is obtained, and by the mercy of the Lord, a chance to serve the Lord's devotee is obtained. The club of Bhimasena was also a gift of Maya Danava. Okay, so we'll say Mangalachari and then we'll go from there. Omagyanat Mirandasya. Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Militamina. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale. Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru, Shri Uttapatikamallam, Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha, Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam, Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam, Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shri Radha Krishna Padam, Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate, Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostate. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Rishabhanu Sutta Devi, Pranamami Hari Priye, Panchakapaturvyaschа Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha, Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the realization of great devotees. It is a very, very beautiful ideology that speaks through the verses and the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is the ideology and the mood of dependence, which is also the mood of surrender, Sharanagati. And this verse in purple speaks to what happens, the why of surrender, we could say. Arjuna is talking about how by Krishna's mercy, he was able to do amazing things. It was possible for me to conquer the powerful king of heaven, Indra. He talks about that. It was able, he was able to, through Mayadanava, but because of Krishna's mercy, ultimately, Mayadanava was therefore sent to work to build this architectural workmanship, which is where the princes assemble to perform this Rajasuya Yagya. There's so many amazing and miraculous things that happened. And Arjuna is making it very, very clear. They happened because of the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And without his mercy, they would not have happened. And this is the position of everyone. Actually, this is a position of the spiritual person. This is also the position of the materialistic person. That without Krishna's mercy, nothing can happen, especially nothing ultimately auspicious can happen without Krishna's mercy. And Arjuna, in recognizing that, we say that, the devotee is humble, amanitvan. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, Krishna will list for Arjuna those elements that constitute knowledge. And the first element that he will mention to Arjuna is that of humility. And humility means truthfulness. So Arjuna's being very honest. And we can also recognize this within our own lives. Nothing auspicious can happen without the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we should declare it boldly. What does Krishna say to Arjuna? He says, Name Bhaktya Prayasyati. He says, you declare it, Arjuna, boldly, my devotee shall never perish. It's a very beautiful guarantee. And we see that again and again through the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the purple, Prabhupada will further elaborate on this. It's very, very interesting. There's this beautiful, again, this touching expression of Krishna's kindness, his sweetness, his character. What is that kindness, sweetness, and character? He so much loves his devotees that he will also follow their lead. In the material world, you generally have people who are autocratic. So they want to push people around, wield their power. Often it's driven by insecurity. Krishna, he has all power, but more than that, in other words, more than the love of power which people have in the material world, Krishna has the power of love. That means he's surrounded by people he's surrounded by devotees who genuinely love him. And because of that, he can defer, he can delegate to his devotees. He knows that if someone comes under the shelter of someone who loves me, everything's going to be fine. Right? Krishna is not an insecure God who has to sort out every single thing himself. Because by his sweetness, qualities, character, we say Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. By his name, qualities, form, pastimes. He attracts Kashati. He attracts And not only does he attract great devotees, he attracts great love from those great devotees. It's very interesting, and it's increasingly rare in the world that you see people who are genuinely beloved by others. And therefore, they don't have to defend themselves. Excuse me. They don't have to always defend themselves and protect themselves, because actually, due to there being a genuine loving relationship, others around them will also step in. That's actually meant to be the standard of Vaishnava etiquette. When there's real Vaishnava relationships, let's say that someone is being criticized, that person who's being criticized, in the presence of real Vaishnavas, that person should not have to stand up for themselves. They can actually just take a very humble and meek position, but because they're surrounded by not just loving devotees, but loving, mature, affectionate, real devotees, everyone knows the etiquette. So this person can be humble, and everyone else will stand up and say, no, this is wrong. You shouldn't be offending this person. It's rude. It's disrespectful. It's not within the etiquette. But it's increasingly rare to have that kind of association in Kali Yuga. So it's a very, very, this understanding of Krishna and he's being surrounded by loving associates, which is one of those particular qualities of Krishna, right? One of his 64 qualities, that he's surrounded by devotees who have this unparalleled love for him. It's an effulgent quality, actually. And it's very, very rare. Unfortunately, in the material world, so many people are surrounding others because they love what the person has. They love the person's money, fame, influence. Very, very few people love the person themselves. It's so interesting here, this point that Prabhupada is making in the purport. Right, so Arjuna saved the life of this demon Mayadanava. In fact, what actually happened was when Arjuna saved this demon, he offered to teach Arjuna the science of yantras, right? Technology, mechanics. And Krishna advised Arjuna, don't learn it. It's a very, very interesting commentary on the modern world, and Prabhupada alludes to it here. The demons possess wonderful and supernatural powers to create material wonders, but they are always disturbing elements of the society. The modern demons are the harmful material scientists who create some material wonders for disturbance in the society. It is not the case that so much of our technology is neutral. When we're attached to something, we will never be able to see it clearly due to our attachment. It's not possible. Material attachment invokes the mode of passion. The mode of passion, it distorts our vision of something. I was thinking about this the other day. It's just like you see this sometimes. Someone wants to be famous, okay? And they may read about other famous people. They may see other famous people. They may hear about celebrities and so on. And the person wants to be famous. So what happens? You'll see something incredibly interesting. They will observe that famous person. And what they will play up the person getting a round of applause. They'll play up the fact that the person has influence. They'll play up the fact that the person has wealth or money. They'll see these things and think, this is what would happen if I was also famous. All these good things would also come to me. Now, people may think, well, isn't that true? No, it's a distorted vision. What I'm doing is I'm dialing up all the things in that vision that I find attractive because I think that I can enjoy those things. And what would I play down? They'll play down all the other things in that famous person's life. All the things that they don't want, but which do happen in that famous person's life. They'll play all of these things down. So let's give it a few examples. Someone who's very, very famous, guaranteed there'll be people who are envious of them and therefore who will criticize them openly online. That's one thing. Someone who's very famous, there'll be other people who are probably trying to find ways to extort them, right? So, to threaten them, give me this money, or I'm going to put this information out about your past, etc. The person who's famous, they'll probably have some crazy people who want to stalk them. So they'll have to have bodyguards and protection, right? Because they're famous, there'll also be people who threaten not just them, but threaten the lives of those who they love, friends, family. So there'll be an anxiety feeling that because I'm famous, now there's these people who are threatening to attack my friends or family or myself, okay? Because someone is famous, there's also the case that the people who were previously neutral or friendly to them may now have a different view towards them, right? So someone who was your friend, now they see that you've got more money, now they feel a little bit more envious, okay? So they don't like you so much, but they may even be around you because they feel that they can gain something by being around you. So what does that mean? It means that you can also now have a situation where you never fully trust the people around you. Why? Because the people who used to be around you when you had nothing that you could give, they're around you now, but they all want something. They all want something. So they may start asking you for money. They may start asking you for contacts. They may start asking you for help in some way, shape, or form. And if you don't do it, then because they're your friends, in the past, you've made some mistakes before. You told them in good faith. They were around. And now that you're rich and famous, if you don't help them, and even if you do help them, they want to run to the press. They want to run to the social media. They want to run to the publications. I've got some information on this person. I know about his or her past. But we don't see the full picture. Because of our attachments, we don't see the full picture. It's very, very interesting. It's a story of the life of the living entity. We've been given some seminars on the Yoga Sutras. And Patanjali, who's actually an incarnation of Ananta Shesh, he explains Yoga's Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga means to stop the vrittis, the modifications, the waves, the disturbances in the mind. That's the real meaning of yoga. And of course, it's there to stop that so we can see the reality clearly. We can see our true nature clearly, and we can see other living entities clearly. That's the purpose, but it's so often missed. Because of Krishna consciousness, we have an opportunity to see the world as it actually is. Bhagavad Gita, as it is, literally means to see everything, all aspects of reality, including ourselves, as it is, without the distortions. And where do these distortions come from? As we said, they come from our material attachments. To give another example, someone's looking for a partner, but the moment they have this desire, I'm going to enjoy this person. I can get something from this person. Again, distortion. It causes one to have a distorted vision of who they are truly dealing with. So therefore, very, very powerful statement. We're not punished. We're not punished for our sins. We're punished by our sins. In other words, our sinful desires to enjoy the material world cause us to become blinded in such a way that we then interact with the material energy in a way in which that material energy itself is guaranteed to cause us to suffer. It's an incredibly efficient system from Krishna. He doesn't even have to get involved to correct the living entities when they do something wrong. Their own wrong endeavor causes their own correction. This is actually how the material energy works. Krishna set up the system. You see? So you press one button, you get a certain reaction. It's the system. Devyeshi gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. Mamevaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantate. Krishna says this divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is very difficult to overcome. And then he says something. He says, those who surrender unto me, they can overcome it very easily. But this purple gives the essence of that surrender. What is the essence of surrender to Krishna? The essence of surrender to Krishna is the surrender to someone who loves Krishna. You see? And Prabhupada will explain that if you could scroll down in the purple slightly. If you could scroll down that purple, please. Yeah. If you stop there, that's it. If you leave it here on the screen. So if you look, at the end, what does Prabhupada say? The process is that by the grace of the devotee, the mercy of the Lord is obtained. This is the secret of the secrets. What we're actually trying to do is take shelter of those who love Krishna. And when we take shelter of those who love Krishna, Krishna is even more pleased than if we take shelter of he himself. But at the same time, achintya beda beda tattva. When you take shelter of those who love Krishna, you've automatically taken shelter of Krishna. Why? Because where are those who love him? Those who love Krishna are at his lotus feet. Right? So like you have a house and someone is standing at the entrance to your house. And then you stand in front of that person. So you could say, yes, I'm standing at the person who owns the house. Yes. And because you're standing at the with the person who owns the house, and because they're standing at the entrance to their house, you're automatically also standing at the entrance of the house. It's that simple. So when we take shelter of Krishna's devotee, we have automatically also taken shelter of Krishna. Right? In other words, the devotee and surrender to the pure devotee includes surrender to Krishna in the most significant way. In the most significant way. What's the special significance? The special significance is that you are pleasing the person who serves Krishna directly. The person who's in Krishna's heart. Krishna talks about this. He talks about how the devotees are in his heart and he's in their hearts. So it's an even more intimate way of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's so amazing. And again, the clue is in this purple. Prabhupada writes, Lord Sri Krishna, however, being pleased with Maya for his taking shelter of a devotee, then gave him service. So this is why it's so important to get our relationships correct in Krishna consciousness. This is why it's so important to serve the devotees properly. Because the devotees are the medium through which we are able to approach Krishna. They're the only medium. They are the key to the heart of Krishna. Access to Krishna's heart is a person, is a personality. And that access is given by those who already love Krishna. Like our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. This point, the modern demons are the harmful materialists who create some material wonders. It's interesting the word Prabhupada uses, material wonders. He's not denying that material creations can be alluring, can draw our attention, can be magical in so many ways. He's not denying. In fact, he will use that word wonderful many times. He mentioned it a few times. And even when he says Maya was also a materialist like that, and he knew the art of creating such wonderful things, he's not denying that technology and these things aren't wonderful or amazing in some way, shape, or form. But let's be very honest, they're not neutral. Now, let's be very clear also, because they can mass deliver a message, and because they can often efficiently produce an outcome, and because we are in the Sankirtan mission, therefore, we're not interested in technology for the sake of technology, but we're interested in the mass distribution, Sankirtan, in the collective and mass distribution of mercy. For that reason, we will use anything and everything. The modern technologies are the modern manifestation of what was in the past, the modern day printing press. So We have a prayojana, we have a goal to spread Krishna consciousness as far and as wide as possible. And then, because that's our prayojana, then we choose a certain abhideya. What's the best medium or means by which we can achieve that outcome? And whatever that is, we'll do that. So that's how we function as devotees. But we know that technology, especially when it's not used for a spiritual purpose, and even when it's not used by people who are properly spiritually qualified, we know that it's not neutral. We know it can have detrimental effects. For example, many people aren't aware, but Ayurveda talks about the different doshas. So dosha is actually a Sanskrit word. It means fault, right? Kalaya Nidra dosha. This Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, right? Very interesting. It's an ocean of faults. So dosha means fault. So we have vata, pitta, kapha, dosha. So whenever someone says, "What's your dosha? What's your body type?" You say kapha dosha. It means that there's a fault. My body has a tendency, a leaning towards kapha issues. Or someone says they've got pitta dosha or vata dosha. It means my body has a tendency to go off balance in that particular direction. So the reason why I'm mentioning this, and when I'm talking about technology not being neutral, what I mean by this is, for example, modern technology. The way that modern technology works is it carries some fault. For example, when people look at computer screens, whether it's on their mobile phone, laptop, desktop, whatever it is, that looking at the computer screen increases vata. Right? So what does that mean? It means that if one just keeps being exposed to that without counteracting influences in their life, it causes a leaning to be more ungrounded. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhumiyapo nalavaya, kamana buddhyevacha, ahankrityami bina prakritiya shtada. Bhumi apo nalavaya, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Right? And by the way, many things in scripture are like this. The sequencing is also important. Earth is the most dense of those 5 elements. Then slightly less dense is water. Then less dense is fire. And then less dense is air. And the most subtle is ether. So vata, the vata dosha, is made up of these 2 elements, air and ether combined. So when you see screens, it's increasing the vata. And when vata goes off in a society, guess what happens? Manda samanda manda bhagya. When there's too much vata, when you have a society where there's too much vata and the vata element is off balance, it manifests in terms of mental disturbances, mental health challenges. Does that sound familiar to anyone? So, technology is not neutral. That's the point that's made here. And this is one of the reasons why Arjuna did not take up the offer to learn all of these different technologies. So that's the trouble with the modern society. Because of an imperfect knowledge, you have imperfect creations. And because of imperfect creations, we have an imperfect outcome. That's how the material world works. Unless that spiritual vision is there as to how to engage Krishna's material energy in Krishna's loving devotional service. So our mission in one sense is the mission of how to literally re-spiritualize the entire society. That will automatically cause everything to go back into balance in a way that nothing else can. That's the real point. So this is so important. And again, it comes by getting the mercy of the Lord. And getting the mercy of the Lord means to take shelter of the Lord's devotee. We're trying to be Sharanagatas. We want to be surrendered servants of the supreme, servants of the personality of Godhead. Gopi Bhatu Padakamalayo, Das Anudas. A very wonderful example was given by one devotee about this idea of being the servant many times removed. And the beautiful analogy that was given was just like you have a telescope. So the way that a telescope is constructed, you have many different lenses. You have many different series of lenses within the telescope. So what happens is when you look through a telescope, because there'll be 10 or 20 lenses in that telescope, that when you look through it and you see the stars or the planets at a far away distance, you're able to see it closer. Why are you able to see it closer? Think about this carefully. If there was just one lens in that telescope, you wouldn't be able to see that planet so far away so clearly. But because there are many lenses between your naked eye and what you're looking at, because there are so many lenses, each lens creates an amplification of what you're seeing. So those lenses are the servants of Krishna. The further back we are, the clearer we are able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The further removed we are as servants of the servants, the closer we feel that we can actually receive and connect with that mercy. Even the Bhagavatam itself, it is said that the Bhagavatam has been made even more sweet. Why? Because it's now coming through Shukadev Goswami. So everyone who recites, every devotee that recites the Bhagavatam, that sweetness is just continually added. The nectar becomes even stronger. So it's reminiscent of this biblical idea, right? The meek shall inherit the earth. He who will be first will be last. We want to be the servant. And that servant receives the greatest mercy. Just as Lord Chaitanya, he has enumerated this idea or expressed this idea through his devotees. Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar. You are Patita Pavana. You are that person who's come to deliver the most fallen. Everyone in Kali Yuga is the most fallen. Because in Kali Yuga is the most fallen age. It's like, there's different institutions in the world. You got the palaces, you got the normal houses, you got the prison, then you got the high security prison. So it doesn't matter what cell you're in the high security prison, that the fact that you're in a high security prison in any of the cells means you're in the lowest category. Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar. You come to deliver the most fallen. Mosamo Patita Prabhu Napai Beara. You will find no one more fallen than me, therefore my claim is first. That's a very beautiful take on this. It's very, very beautiful. Even though the great devotees are speaking in this way, they themselves are putting themselves, enlisting themselves, perceiving and feeling themselves in this lowest category. We're the most fallen. But along with that, because they know that Lord Chaitanya has come for that particular cohort, he's come for those people in the high security prison. Therefore, those great devotees, feeling themselves by their deep humility to be the most fallen, at the same time being the most intelligent, they will therefore tell the Lord, I'm the most fallen, and your job is to deliver the most fallen. Hello, over here, it's me. There's a clue in all of this. And that clue, as is being touched upon by this idea of taking shelter of the great devotees, is that it is by our humility that we become elevated. It really is like that. And humility in the deepest spiritual sense. Humility, just like that verse, because the devotees, they're so humble, but that humility means truthfulness, and it gives them the intelligence to say, yeah, if I recognize my fallen position in Kali Yuga, and I recognize that Krishna in his form of Lord Chaitanya has come to deliver the most fallen, I will get mercy. And therefore they call out in that mood. That means for every intelligent devotee, that we will practice humility. Every intelligent devotee, someone who's really smart, someone who's really clued in, someone who really understands how the spiritual dynamics work, how the spiritual relationships work, how the heart of the Lord works, and how the heart of his devotee works. Someone who really gets it. they will practice intelligent spiritual humility. Right? That's a sign that someone's really, really intelligent. Not just a little bit smart, but that's the sign that you're dealing with someone who's really switched on. So we want to enlist in that. Maybe one last word in this. So here Prabhupada writes, devotees are therefore more merciful than the Lord. And in devotional service, the mercy of a devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. You will see this, it comes up again and again and again. I was reading 4th canto, and there's a verse in the 4th canto which makes a point that by the mercy of the Vaishnavas or the Brahmanas or both, everything becomes possible. It's just right there in 4th canto Bhagavatam. In 8th canto Bhagavatam, it is explained why Bali Maharaj became so powerful. Because, he pleased the descendants of Brigu, the Brahmana descendants of Brigu. They were pleased with Bali Maharaj, therefore they blessed him. And because they blessed him, he and his army were able to overtake the demigods and to defeat them. And they had to actually leave, they had to scatter away. So that's the point. The humility is the source of the spiritual humility, the deep, wise, devotional humility, which causes us to recognize our position as servants, to act according to Guru Sadhu Shastra, to recognize that the material energy can only stimulate the mind and senses, but it can't touch the soul. And to therefore engage in devotional service from a platform of understanding that this is where my real interest lies. And I was just trying to understand this more. And to never there's a purport to real humility. If there's real humility, I will never ultimately take anything personally. Sounds strange, doesn't it? If there's real spiritual humility, I will never ultimately take anyone's negative behavior personally. Why? This is the connection. If there's real spiritual humility, I must accept that whatever's happening to me at any point, ultimately Krishna is either sanctioning it, so he's allowing it to happen, or he wants it to happen. And that because he's in charge of everything, there must ultimately be an auspicious purpose even behind my challenging experiences in life. So when we had a get together yesterday, and I was just sharing with the devotees, the ultimate thing, sometimes devotees will say, oh, something's happening and you should just tolerate. Yeah, and sometimes it's correct, and sometimes something will happen and devotees say, oh, yeah, that means you should keep a distance. And that could be correct. And then sometimes a situation will happen and devotees will say, no, you should stand up and assert yourself for the best, because that's best for everyone. And that could be correct. But the ultimate thing that marries all of those responses is that in every situation you should consider, what does Guru Sadhu Shastra want me to do? Because Guru Sadhu Shastra is ultimately Krishna's voice. See, in the ultimate sense, the essential teaching is that in every time, place, and circumstance, we should try to consider, what would Gurudev, what would Krishna want me to do? And we should do that with detachment for their pleasure. And it doesn't happen overnight for most of us. And Krishna knows that's real. But we want to practice. And what will make that practice strong, firm, and determined is that we have this proper understanding that my only true, lasting, deep, and full joy and happiness will come from engaging in devotional service. As long as I think that something else is going to make me happy, I will do something else. But if I understand that only Krishna can satisfy me, then it changes everything that I do, because it changes the mentality with which I do everything. Okay, so I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to open up and ask, are there any comments or questions that anyone may have on the class today?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Such a wonderful class, so many points. Yes, it's very important to know the mercy, understand the importance of the mercy of the devotees to serve Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Dear devotees, if you have any questions or comments, you can please go ahead now.
It looks like no one has any questions today.
Yeah, I have a question.
Hare Krishna.
Kandramauli put his hand up.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Bhuta, Bhavana, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the
Well,
talk.
first of all, it's great to see you again, Prabhu. 2 days in a row. It must be my good fortune.
My
Thank you.
good
Thank you for
fortune.
being on the field. And thank you for your association yesterday as well.
Thank you for yours. I'm blessed to have your association another day in a
All the way
row.
around, honestly, we're at the mercy of your kind.
Oh, no.
Honestly.
No, thank you. Prabhu, something that you were mentioning about the telescopes and each lens is the devotee, and the further removed we are, the closer we actually are to Krishna. Did I get that right? Yeah?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
The closer we have, the more mercy we have, yes.
So I've heard this before also, that even the gopis, the ones that are further removed, are the ones that are closer because they're serving, the servant of the servant, like the manjaris who then serve the older gopis. I guess for me, the question is, what if we are further removed but not feeling that mercy? So it's like I want to be the servant of the servant of the servant, and I want to be the servant of the servant of the servant so that I can be closer to Krishna. But but then when we think of it in another way, we think, well, actually, the ones that are closer to Krishna, so let's say a big guru, he's closer to Krishna. So how can someone who's serving the servant of the servant, who's serving that guru, be closer to Krishna also? And the one who's the Madhya Madhikari or the Uttama Adhikari who's actually feeling Krishna, and maybe there's a Kanishta Adhikari who's trying to get somewhere in their devotional life, who's feeling far away and not really feeling that reciprocation from Krishna, and not feeling that being the servant of the servant of the servant is helping or giving that advancement, because maybe just materially looking at it, like, I haven't got the position, I haven't got the recognition. Just wondering your thoughts on that.
Great question. There's a few things to consider. The first thing to consider is that being close to someone who's close to Krishna is not a question of physical proximity. Prabhupada would sometimes explain this, like people wanting to be physically around him. He would say things like the flies may be around the spiritual master, doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting mercy. We also see, even in the example of Srila Prabhupada, that some of his greatest, or let's say some of his disciples who've gone on to do so many exemplary things in devotional service, they weren't necessarily the ones who were actually physically around him all the time.
Yeah,
we know that for a fact. So we can see, factually speaking, that mercy does not equal physical association, not necessarily. You see? So therefore, what is mercy? Mercy means one receives the favor of the spiritual master by service.
Okay.
And that favor of the spiritual master manifests over time in one's own advancement. So the thing is, we have to first judge things using the proper metrics, right? That's the first point. Now, it's also the case that someone may be physically away from the spiritual master and also not get so much advancement. But we should then be clear, it's not because they're physically away from the spiritual master, it's because something about the mentality or the way that they serve has not yet matured. And this is the other point, it could take time. So one of the reasons, so there's many variables. One of the reasons why something can take time to manifest is because, let's say someone did a lot of devotional service in the previous life. And then someone else is relatively new to Krishna consciousness. They've not done it from in recent lifetimes. So it may seem like one person isn't moving fast very quickly, even though they're physically close to the guru. And then there may be another disciple who's further away from the guru and they're advancing very, very quickly. Yeah. So we can't judge the spiritual evolution by the material metrics.
Mm.
So the first thing is it has to be seen according to Guru Sadhu Shastra. And according to Guru Sadhu Shastra, according to Srila Prabhupada, we know for a fact that he didn't tell everyone, you should come and spend time, you should come and stand by me 24 hours a day physically. He didn't say that. He didn't say that if you do that, then you'll make advancement. And if you don't, if you stay in the temples around the world and do Sankirtan, that you're not going to go anywhere. He didn't say that. In fact, he said the opposite. He said, if you do your service sincerely, wherever you are, you will make advancement. That's what he said. So we know. So let's look at this logically. We know for a fact that Prabhupada was very close to Krishna, very intimate servant of Krishna. So he can't say something that's not true and that's not helpful and that's not correct. So if that person who we know is close to Krishna gives that instruction, it must be true that everyone can make advancement, even if they're not physically around that great devotee. It must be true. We also see that Prabhupada would send different devotees to different places in the world. We know Prabhupada sent Tamal Krishna Maharaj to China. He didn't say to him, I'm going to send you to China so you can't make any advancement anymore. Right? We know what is it that we pray? We make the order of the spiritual master one's what? Life and soul.
Life and soul.
Yeah. That's actually, and Prabhupada will make that point, that it's through the order of the spiritual master that one develops that closeness, one has that association with Krishna. So it's the service to the order of the spiritual master, which is the active ingredient, which in time, if it's followed properly, and properly means not just the activity, but the consciousness, the mentality behind it, the service mentality. If that is followed properly with all sincerity and seriousness, that in time, because that's why it talks about being patient, in time, one will feel that advancement is taking place. Yeah. But what we have to do, therefore, is we have to regularly check in as we are trying to do that, to always introspect. Am I doing it properly? Can I tweak it? Can I improve it in some way? And we also, therefore, need the association of devotees who can remind us, yes, this is good, or yes, that's good, and this could be tweaked, this could be adjusted in this way. And then just to add one extra point, we were talking about this yesterday, because sometimes we may even be trying our best, but we may also be slowed down due to mistakes that have been made in the past, which are acting like brakes, or which are slowing down our advancement in the present. So reactions to previous activities, sins, offenses, etc. So even then, and that's why Lord Brahma says this, Tatenu Kampam Shishimikshimano, right? One who offers obeisances to the Lord while patiently tolerating the reactions of their past deeds, for them, liberation becomes their rightful claim, or their diabat, their natural inheritance. See? So there are a few factors to consider, and we should always consider, how can I refine and improve what I'm doing? But it's the sold out, serious and sincere pursuit of the order of one spiritual master that will ultimately always lead to further realization, further development, and also an increasing advancement in devotional life.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I think what sticks out for me, thank you, Prabhu. What sticks out is it's really important to the consciousness in which we do the service. So even if we are servant of the servant of the servant, far, far, far away in one sense, but if that consciousness is still mixed with a lot of mode of passion or mode of ignorance, if that's the mood in which we're doing the service, then we are still going to feel far away, because the intention and consciousness isn't at sattvic. Yeah.
So Prabhupada, it's understood, let's put it this way, it's understood the service mentality is more important than the service. You see, and we all know this, right? We all know you could do an activity externally for Krishna, but internally for so many other purposes. You can give a class or lead a kirtan, and it could be led for name, fame, distinction, adoration, profit, and gain, rather than doing it as an offering to Krishna, and it will look the same externally. But the mentality could be completely different, and therefore there'll be a different result. There was a pastime with Prabhupada. He was he was in one temple, and there was some devotee, leading the kirtan seemingly, and many people were like, many devotees were like, wow, that sounds amazing. And Prabhupada's response was, who is that Rakshasha? Who's that demon leading the kirtan? Because Prabhupada could perceive that the person was singing in such a way as to draw attention to himself, as opposed to doing it as a genuine glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So it's not so there's more of a subtle thing than is automatically always appreciated.
Yeah. Okay. And if someone is, just sorry to just keep going with this, but if someone does do the service, but it's just so inherent within them that I need some recognition, I need some reciprocation from whoever I'm trying to serve. Because is that the case, and that person has to have that self-awareness and go through whatever their insecurities are,
so such a
so that
person
can be offered?
There's many things that they can do. The first thing is they should always continue their service,
Right?
No matter what other things are in the heart, they should always do it, because the only way to become a pure devotee is through practicing devotee, being a practicing devotee. Sometimes you think, oh, I can't serve purely, so I won't serve. No. That's like saying, I'm not, I don't like the taste of the medicine which is curing me, so I won't take any medicine and expecting to be cured. It's not going to work like that. So the first thing is, under no circumstances should one give up one's devotional service or devotional practices. What one should do is, when we see our shortcomings, that can also be very good. Why? Because when we see our shortcomings, it invokes some genuine humility. We'll feel, you know what, actually, I'm so fallen. I've got all these anatas in my heart. That's good. Because what that will do is it will enrich one's devotional service with humility, which means you actually go up. Yeah, not down. You think, oh, I'm fallen. Right, that's the mood of the great devotees. Of course, they're not fallen, but they feel themselves fallen. But for us, at least for me, no, I'm definitely fallen. I'm not. It's not like a misperception. It's like, it's real, And then in that mood, what do I do? In that mood of recognizing how fallen I am, I simultaneously recognize how much I need help.
Yeah.
And in recognizing how much I need help, what did I do? It means I will then take even more shelter. I'll try to purify myself more. I'll try to be more attentive in my chanting. I'll try to serve more. I'll try to hear more, because I recognize I need more help. I'm even more fallen than I realized. So it's a feedback loop, in recognizing our fallen condition. If it's a genuine recognition, it will result in taking more shelter of Krishna.
Wow.
You see? So it actually, instead of being like an external or secondary ingredient, it becomes a catalyst for taking more shelter.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say about that is, as you're doing now, in one sense, in revealing our anatas in the association of devotees, especially with our guides, they can also give us a tailored solution as to what may be appropriate. Sometimes they may see, right, you feel this desire for recognition. Okay, I'm going to tell you just to recognize yourself and celebrate the fact that you're still practicing. For someone else, it may be, this person feels a need for recognition, and maybe the spiritual master sees that, and the spiritual master decides, I'm going to recognize the person myself, right? Or the person says, Guru Maharaj, I recognize I've got this attachment to recognition, and Krishna may actually think, you know what, I'm going to actually help you from within, so that you won't even be attached to recognition. Because sometimes Krishna can do that. Sometimes he can give you recognition, and you'll get so much recognition, and all the difficult stuff that comes along with it, that you'll think one day, I'm sick of it. I don't want to be recognized anymore. Krishna, take it away. It's like that. Sometimes people become famous. They were desiring fame all the time, but when they got it, it was like, oh my God, I didn't know it was going to be like this. And that's also related to a scriptural statement, that sometimes the Lord will give someone something, but he'll give it in such a way that they will never, ever ask for it again. He's so smart. Yeah. So the conclusion would be that we should be very careful what we wish for.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And thank you for being that guide for me.
Thank you. We're all family. We're all helping each other. We're all learning from each other. Thank you.
Thank you for thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice discussion. Shilpesh Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. What's your definition of devotional loving service?
Anyabilasa Tishunyam, Gyanaga Anadanavrita, Anukulina Krishna Nushilan Bhakti Uttama. That's the definition given by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So devotional service means an activity done favorably for Krishna's pleasure, free of the desire for any karma or gyan. That's the definition of pure devotional service.
Thank you. How do I get there?
You get there by the process that Prabhupada has given, hearing, chanting, and serving in the association of devotees with a view towards perfecting that devotional service and that devotional practice. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Shilpesh?
It helps. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have a question. It may sound silly, but I just want some clarification. Will Krishna's mercy flow when we serve only senior devotees or any neophyte devotees or new people too? Because many people I saw, many devotees, they prefer to be more with the senior devotees association rather than with the neophytes or new people coming into the temple or Bhakti Vriksha, anywhere. So I just want to get a clarification about that.
We will get Krishna's mercy when we serve pure devotees, but their instructions are universal, meaning that, let's put it another way. Let's say that would the pure devotee want you to treat the junior devotees and the newcomers in a devotional way? Yes or no? Yes. Yeah. So let's say that Prabhupada is in America, and let's say that he has a disciple in London, and they're preaching Krishna consciousness, and they're serving the newcomers nicely. Will they get Prabhupada's mercy?
Yes.
Yeah. But does it mean that they should stay away from the newcomers and are they serving the newcomers and the younger devotees at the same time? Yeah. Yes. It's not one or the other.
Mm.
Yeah? It's not one or the other. If you're serving newcomers, if you're serving seniors, if you're serving others in a way that will be pleasing to the pure devotees, then you're getting their mercy.
Mm. So I understand that Krishna gives more opportunities when we serve devotees nicely, right, Prabhuji?
He's most pleased.
Mm. Mm. Great. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
there's a saying that Krishna says, those who claim to be my devotees are not my devotees, but those who are devotees of my devotees, they are actually my devotees.
Yeah.
Sukava Mataji, you have a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for the lovely class. It was really eye-opening, and the importance of being humble, which is like, I wasn't quite sure about it, which has made it a little bit more clearer. Only I want one clarification, because you mentioned that the devotional service should be desire-free of karma and knowledge.
But just to explain, it says nectar. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it says free of karma and gyan, but it's explained what that gyan is. It doesn't mean devotional knowledge.
Okay.
It means impersonalist philosophy.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was a bit confused with, the knowledge, because it says that the Krishna reveals more knowledge when you perform some devotional services.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Dear devotees, any more questions or comments? Scarlett Mataji, you joined again. Do you have any question?
Hare Krishna, yes, I'm so sorry, my computer is not good, so it can go out anytime. So I don't dare to keep on, because I know that it will go on. But next time anyway. Thank you very much for today. I learned a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, Prabhuji, I think there are no more questions. We can end the call here. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your time and association for all of us.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for today.
Thank you, Prabhu.
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
Bye.
Thank
Swami
you.
Chandra Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Ji ki
much.
jai.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you.